Hello, everyone. It's me, David Chen. I'm here today with the man behind the Patrick H. Willems channel and the man behind the channel behind the Patrick H. Willems channel. It's Patrick H. Willems. Patrick, how's it going
Hello.
today?
It's going really well. How are you, David?
I'm well, and I'm looking forward to doing a commentary with you about this video today, which is about why Batman the movie is great.
Yep.
So let's discuss Batman the movie. But first, before we do that, let's tell people about what it is we're doing on here. After every single Patrick H. Willems video at youtube.com/Patrick H. Willems, we hop on here, we talk about the making of the video, but mostly it's just an excuse for us to just riff on random stuff that's on our minds. So there's really, don't come here expecting any kind of structure or really anything
Nope.
of any value at all, I would say.
No, I mean, what are you talking about, David? Remember on a recent episode we discussed our experiences getting vaccinated,
Yeah, no, well,
stuff
actually,
like that.
I actually do legitimately think that's a good thing for people to know about.
It
But
is.
you know, more like our random reflections on rollerball, is a better example of stuff that provides no value to society.
It's true.
Alita, our review of Alita Battle Angel. These are the things that may or may not haunt our dreams at night, and then end up into this commentary video.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're in store for here. So again, go ahead, Patrick.
I was gonna say no one should really bring any expectations to this other than we will be here and we'll have a conversation.
Will we?
That's it.
Sometimes I feel like you're even overpromising when you say that, is what I'm saying.
That's a
Uh,
really good point.
okay, so we're here to talk about the newest video, Patrick Explains Batman the Movie and Why It's Great. And this is a special video, Patrick, because this is the one where the two storylines of the Patrick H. Willems universe are starting to converge. This is maybe not the Avengers of the Patrick H. Willems YouTube channel, but maybe the Captain America Civil War. Would you say?
It could be. I mean, uh, the thing about I mean, honestly, I feel like someone compared it to a Doctor Who episode, and I'm like, that might be closer because we're dealing like this is a weird thing. I feel like a Captain America Civil War would be closer to just like another channel doing a crossover with mine, and it's like great. It's people like encountering each other. This is a weird thing because I mean, like I'm not saying I did anything especially cool with this as much as like I'm excited about what we did here narratively, but it's the kind of thing that you can't. I mean, like it works well in like a YouTube medium where it's like where people can have like multiple like seemingly like nonfiction series just going at the same time on one
And
channel.
different formats too, basically different
Right.
formats.
Right, exactly. This is like I feel like this is like maybe like a tiny bit. This is uncommon to see on YouTube, but also if you get into other media, this kind of thing is not especially special.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you said. No, I'm just joking. I mean, you were you wanted to in our pregame. We do a little pregame. You were talking about how you wanted to talk about the way that this one came together. So I was kind of giving you a little layup there, but you seem to have slammed it back into my face, Patrick.
No, I honestly I feel like I slammed it back into my own face. I actually, here's what I did, David. You gave me a layup, and I caught the ball and just landed on the ground, and then just like stopped the game all of a sudden to just be like, look at. I'm actually not very good at basketball. That's
the moral of the story: is don't trust Patrick with basketball plays.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. What I will say is that I mean it's a thing where I'm really excited about what we did here because okay, what I will say is back in I don't know maybe like 2018 or so, I had this vague idea because we would have these little like narrative framing devices in the videos that were way less complicated back then. We had like the Patrick Explains series, and for instance, like there's a video from I think like August 2018, the Robin Hood and King Arthur one about like public domain characters, where the narrative framing device has Jake and Chloe playing studio executives for like a Hollywood studio, so they're not even themselves in that one. And I had this vague idea.
I was going to say, the continuity of the Patrick H. Willems universe does leave me quite wanting, Patrick.
Well, don't worry, because I have thought about it way too much. And I had this vague idea that it would be fun to maybe at some point do like a little short film where we just say like, oh, all of those framing devices actually do fit together in a continuity, but there's actually like a multiverse where like in one universe, Jake and Chloe don't know me, and they became studio executives at a Hollywood studio, and I was just like, it would be like a fun little bonus thing to do, for just for like the small handful of people that watch all the videos and do pay attention to these things. And I just saw someone in the chat said Patrick is a little low for me. Should I boost my levels a bit?
No, I think according to my information, you're higher than me, arguably. So I would let us know if Patrick's sounding a little too low. Otherwise, other people, let us know if Patrick's sounding too low. He's looking good to me, but keep going, okay. Patrick. I'll adjust it if necessary.
Okay, because I can also adjust my settings. Yeah. What I will say, so this was a vague idea I had, and I was like, I don't know if we'll ever do this, but maybe it would just like as a little, like, I don't know, like 10-minute short film. But I had this in the back of my head for a really, really long time. And for a couple of years. And then it was in early January 2020 when, we had been kind of thinking like, maybe what if we tried to do like a year-long narrative through all the videos that this kind of came back. And that is what kind of led to the idea for this whole thing. And then I realized that, oh, wait, what if, because the Patrick Explains series already had its own continuity, like through the whole series, and it was its own ongoing thing, what if we found a way to combine these? And so, like, I'm not trying to, like, pat myself on the back, but I wanted to, someone said Patrick's audio got better, and I boosted it a tiny little bit.
Okay.
Cool. But yeah, I will say, without giving anything else away about like what is coming up, I wanted to. I didn't want to jump into like a long narrative thing without having a sense of where it was going, and so we figured out the whole thing of like what we're doing with the Patrick Explains series before we made the first video of 2020. So this has been in the works for a while. So
I'm reminded of a few shared universe ideas when I hear you talk about this. Okay. Here's a handful. Stop me if you've heard these. Every Pixar movie takes place in one universe. You hear about that?
Oh, yep. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. Here's another one. Christoph Waltz is is the author of all James Bond's pain in the Daniel Craig movies.
That's a terrible one because thank you for bringing that up, because that is exactly what I didn't want to do, because in Spectre, a movie I don't like, Spectre tries to make it seem like all of the Daniel Craig Bond movies had been this like planned out overarching story by having Christoph Waltz just list things that happened in other movies and say, I did those, but it's so transparently like a retcon. Like you think about it for a second and it's like, no, he can't be responsible for Silva in Skyfall because he had his own motivations. That was his own thing. No, he can't have anything to do with like Vesper in Casino Royale, because it all falls apart. I was like, I don't want to do that. We need to know the big thing ahead of time, and then we can, once we know where it's going to go, then that can guide us along the way. So that's what, yeah. So Spectre is like kind of like the warning for like what to stay away from.
Stan Lee is the same character in all of his Marvel cameos.
I mean, we all know that falls apart if you think about it for a second as well. that also doesn't actually.
How dare you sully the legacy of Stan Lee with that statement, Patrick?
I mean, hey, Stan Lee has a complicated legacy. Let's be
true.
real. What I will say is, okay, this is not a one-to-one thing, but I was talking about this with some friends earlier today. It's like vaguely reminiscent, even though it's not the same thing. In Midnight Run, the great 1988 Martin Brest film, Philip Baker Hall plays an employee of Dennis Farina, who is the villain, and his name is Sidney. And apparently, Paul Thomas Anderson was so fascinated by this minor character that he then basically made his first movie, Hard Eight, which is also called Sidney, that's basically starring Philip Baker Hall as a guy named Sidney, that's pretty much about the same guy, even though they're movies made by two different people that are not technically sequels. But they can be in the same continuity if you want to look at it that way.
Mm. Well, those are some recent examples of, I think, the whole shared universe. This all takes place in the same universe. Examples with limited degrees of success, and not even just success, knowledge by people.
Yes,
that they are in fact inhabiting the same universe. But it sounds like you have some varying opinions about what is good and what's bad. What do you think makes a good shared universe fan theory, Patrick Willems?
That's a really good question. In general, I'm not especially interested in a lot of them because I don't think they tend to add much to it. Like the Pixar one is fine. I actually, you know what ones that I like a lot more that are not actually fan theories? Have you read any of David Mitchell's novels?
I haven't, but I've heard great things.
Okay, yeah, like Cloud Atlas is like the most famous one, but they're all good. Even if I have kind of mixed feelings about the Bone Clocks, but David Mitchell is very good. And a lot of his novels have these kind of like Cloud Atlas have these structures where they're like split into like sections with like all these different characters who they're just like that, like fragmented time and stuff like that, but with the ensemble casts set over like centuries. And those novels are all set in the same universe. And there will be for instance, a minor character in Cloud Atlas shows up decades later when they're much older in Black Swan Green. And it's a thing where these are not a series. You don't have to read all of them. You don't have to read anything to get anything else. But if you do happen to read them all, there's that like extra little bonus where it's like, oh my God, is that person? I know this person. And and now I have like a bit more history, to this character just because I read that other book. I mean, the thing is like, Stephen King does kind of the same thing. And that's the thing I kind of like, where it's a deliberate choice by the author that's like, nothing is required of the reader, but for people who want to, who are completists and do want to read more of the books, it's sort of like it rewards them for doing that. And that's kind of what I wanted to do here, where like you can watch any of the Patrick Explains videos if you want to, and if you just like the movie and just like want to watch a random one. But if you happen to like watch all of the videos on the channel, this kind of pays off and rewards your continued viewing, unless you just hate this extra stuff and think it wastes time and you just want to hear me talk about movies, which is also fair.
In which case, Patrick's got you covered at the beginning of every episode of the Patrick H. Willems show,
Yeah.
How's that working out for you, by the way?
Honestly, pretty well. I think that was a good choice.
Yeah.
I'm seeing I'm seeing way fewer complaints.
Right.
I
Right.
didn't see a lot of complaints in the first place, but every so often, you'd see the person who would be like, "Hey, everyone, skip to like 3:42
Right.
because
Right.
there's a bunch of bullshit at the start." Not seeing any of that anymore, and instead it just leads to more fun comments that are just like, why would anyone skip the first 2.5 minutes? And I'm like, I like you. So.
By the way, people, B Godek in the chat says the Tarantino universe, another big one. The idea being like all the Quentin Tarantino movies take place in the same universe. That's another one that has a lot of. I think that's very close to what you just described, Patrick.
Yeah, and that's also a thing where, there's little things like there's two characters named Vega, and there's like brands.
Like Red Apple cigarettes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. But at the same time, like, I don't think Tarantino has ever gone as far as, I mean, like, I think he had a weird thing he said in some interview where he was like, I imagine that Django is actually the ancestor of Shaft from the movie Shaft.
You can't absorb other universes. Like, that's just, you can control your own universe. That's fine. But like, you can't absorb, I can't be like, this is like Batman's dad, if I make a movie.
You know what? I'm going to make a movie and I'm just gonna, and kind of like remember when the Russo brothers were doing press for Avengers Endgame, and they just kept saying all of these things about like that weren't in the movie, like about like what happens to characters, or like things about the timeline, like and suddenly everyone is like, are these canon now? The things that they're just saying in interviews, and no, it's not canon. If you just kind of like the stuff that like J.J. Abrams said in interviews like after Rise of Skywalker, I'm like, no, those don't count. But that said, I'm going, despite what I just said, I'm going to make a movie and then just in all the press just say, oh, by the way, this character becomes the great uncle of Bruce Wayne.
Yes,
and that's a fact, and that's what I always
Palpatine's granduncle is who this is.
Yep, exactly. That's how it goes. You can't stop me.
Count Dooku is alive again. He survived the whole time. Okay. Anyway, we haven't even really started talking about the video.
No,
I don't know if we're gonna get to it. But this Batman movie.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
I'm wearing.
No, you can't on your own channel.
I'm wearing my United Underworld shirt just for this, which is the organization of the supervillains in the movie. This is their logo that they have painted on the wall of their secret base. So, I came prepared for this commentary.
Excellent. Rather than dive into the video, I'm going to ask you one question about the video, and then we're going to just go straight to the listener comments here, because I have a feeling this question will drive the rest of the conversation.
Okay.
Which is, why do you think the Batman movie is better than The Dark Knight Rises? Which is a claim you make in your video.
Yes, it is. I do think it's better than The Dark Knight Rises, because I think it has a better idea of what it is. I think for me that's the biggest problem with The Dark Knight Rises, where it seems to have a bunch of ideas that Nolan wanted to discuss, but just didn't really think through all the way. And also it feels like he's, he feels like less emotionally invested in what he's saying in the movie than compared to like The Dark Knight, and is kind of just being like, well, people want like a big bombastic action finale, and so I'll give it to him, and but it isn't quite like the psychological drama that he's generally more interested in.
What are the things that you think he's trying to say in Batman? I'm sorry, in The Dark Knight Rises.
Well, okay, you get into the strange stuff about like class and like the the classes in Gotham, and
right.
like Bane, and like the very rich people and the poorer people, and then there's also like what's up with the police, and is it like who's like, is the movie really like does it have anything to say? Because it's also weird because it came out. It was being made when like Occupy Wall Street was a thing, and it seemed like maybe it was drawing upon ideas there, but also didn't really have anything to say about. I mean, it seemed like it was paying lip service to a lot of like a lot of different themes without really having much of a statement, because like in the end, like the police are like the heroes kind of,
right,
the ones who were all trapped underground for a long time, but
they were trapped underground for like 5 to 6 months, if I'm recall correctly.
Yeah,
like how does that even work, you know? How do they get fed and stuff and go to the bathroom and, you know, get their laundry done?
they're looking fairly clean when they come out of those tunnels for being there for a long time. And I don't, to be clear, I don't think that like kind of nitpick is a major, it's like one of the core problems in it.
I have been in my house. I mean, I do. So I'm just gonna cop to that, Patrick.
Okay.
I've been in my house for 9 months, with, you know, access to clothing and laundry, and I look worse than the cops coming out of the sewer in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. I mean, same.
That may be because I'm not as good looking as Joseph Gordon-Levitt, though. Anyway,
isn't he the one who's not trapped underground?
You know what? Trapped underground, not trapped underground, it's all kind of the same in that movie. I
think Matthew Modine is like the leader of the ones who is trapped underground, but it's also like Bane sort of like manipulates like the poorer people into like, you know, having like an uprising against like the upper classes, and so and there I'm like, but it like, you know, are the poor people bad? Do they have like legitimate grievances? Or are they just being manipulated? I mean, I just the Dark Knight,
it does have a lot of great ideas and some great lines in it.
Yes,
you know, like there's some great moments in it.
Right.
But overall, I think you're right that like none of it really comes together in a satisfying way.
Yeah, I don't like dislike the movie. I think it's okay. But when you consider like how clear the Dark Knight is about what it is about and what it's doing, and this kind of like throws a lot of stuff out there, while but I feel like it's more concerned with like delivering what Nolan thinks is like a crowd pleasing movie. I think also part of it is that, just from stuff I've read, that he had an idea for a third movie that involved Heath Ledger, and then obviously that couldn't really happen. And considering that like Warner Brothers I think was like, if you make a third Batman movie, you could do that Inception thing. And then so he's like, you know, I'll give you like, you know, your big fun Batman finale. Just like, to me, that feels more like him giving people what he thinks they want than what he's personally like really excited about making.
Indeed. So tell us how that contrasts with the Batman movie.
And I think Batman the movie.
I apologize. Batman the movie.
The 1966 movie. It's just, obviously it's a much simpler movie. It is a less ambitious movie. But it is also, I feel like, you know, it's so like the vision is so clean and simple, and you know exactly what it's doing. As I say in the video, like every part of that movie is like working together perfectly, whether it's the visuals, every performance, the script, which I think is so funny, and it's tight. It is under 2 hours long. It's just like, you know, it's like, yes, it is, like, you know, it is not going for, it does not have the lofty goals that The Dark Knight Rises does, but every day of the week, it'll be the one that I turn on instead.
You know, for a while there, people would say things about movies that were made out of TV shows, like, oh, it's just like a 90-minute episode of the TV show, as though it was like a pejorative, right? And I'm like, Dude, I would love to see like a bigger budget 90-minute version of a TV show. This was like a recent example was like Star Trek Insurrection. The ninth
Right.
Star Trek film. People were like, "Oh, it's just like a 90-minute TV show episode," and it's like, dude, I'm fine with that. Like I have no issues with
Yeah.
that. I wish there was a way to do that in a way that was economically viable, so they could make more of those. But they not really anymore, right?
Right. And that's the thing. Like I bought the whole Blu-ray set of the show to like rip a few episodes to use for footage for this video. I'm probably gonna like I've seen episodes before, but I'm probably gonna just like in my spare time start like watching more of it. And the thing is, each episode's like half an hour long. There is one villain like per episode, and that's how it goes. And what's fun about the movie is it's like, what if we had like the four biggest villains all together? And there's so much going on. There's like there's so many fun characters, and like every scene has whether it's like a villain scene or like a Batman and Robin scene, it's like there's always something going on. There's always like whether it's it's just I think the whole movie is a delight. I really enjoy it, and obviously I know I'm saying that with like, this is a movie I've loved since I was 4 years old. There is some nostalgia speaking, but it's a movie that's actually gotten better the older I've gotten and the more I've rewatched it.
A few comments here. First of all, Timothy Mabley says, to be fair, Marianne Cotillard's death scene is comparable to something out of Batman the movie, and I actually think that's exactly right. Good comment, Timothy.
It is. It's
a pretty rough death scene for an amazing actress to participate in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Dark Knight Rises, by the way.
Yeah. That's there is a yeah. I mean, we've all seen that movie. A lot of the stuff with that character is kind of baffling to me, considering that like Talia al Ghul, who's the her real name, which is revealed, it's not Miranda Tate. I think Talia is one of the great characters like in the comics in all of like Batman mythos. She's got so much going on. She's so complex. Also, really really well handled in Batman the Animated Series, and I think they do her such a disservice to not have her. They don't reveal who she is for so long, and then she basically gets like a couple scenes as just kind of like a mustache twirling villain who monologues a bit, and then she has an incredibly lame death scene.
Yeah.
So
it's like a community theater, but like bad community theater. Anyway.
Yeah. It's so weird. Like I actually in when we were editing the video, my co-editor Ryan, originally in the scene where I mentioned that this is better than Dark Knight Rises, he included a clip of her death scene.
Wow.
That I ended up I took out because I was like, this is
too cruel.
It's not just that. I'm just like, it added an extra like I don't know. To get the full impact of it, you have to like have her like line dialogue going up to it. I'm like, this is adding like an extra like 10 to 15 seconds, and like I think it, for pacing's sake, I took it out. But I did watch it again, and I was like, I mean, it's as if they did one take of it. Like,
yeah, no,
Nolan,
seriously,
you
that's
had
what it
no
feels
notes.
Agreed. One take Nolan is what they call him. Okay, the movie planet in the chat says Batman the movie embraces the fact that it's based on a comic book. The Dark Knight Rises is utterly embarrassed by it. You agree with this?
Not entirely. Because I in general like the Nolan movies. I think Dark Knight Rises is more comic booky than The Dark Knight. I think these are movies that it's just that like I think Nolan genuinely likes Batman comic books. It's just that he has a very specific approach to filmmaking and like point of view, and only certain aspects of like Batman mythology fit into his view, and which I just think does sort of limit what they can put in there, and it sort of like excludes some of the really fun stuff. But no, I wouldn't go as far as to say The Dark Knight Rises is embarrassed of being a comic.
All right. let's get to some questions that listeners and viewers in the chat might have. If you have any questions for Patrick, just pop them in there.
Yeah.
While we're waiting for those, I will give my own stuff a plug. You can check out my work at youtube.com/DaveChensky. That's Dave Chen SKY. Patrick, I just had a video crack 100K views this week. Pretty psyched about that.
Hey, nice. Which one was it?
It was a vlog I shot about getting dose 2 of the Pfizer vaccine. I basically made a vlog about like what the symptoms were like and all that stuff. And
I saw it. I know.
Yeah, so check that out. Plus, I'm reviewing Falcon and Winter Soldier each week. If you want to see someone who doesn't like that show very much talk about it, youtube.com/DaveChensky, plus a bunch of other movie reviews and TV show reviews.
David, I was about to say, I hope that your 100K video was not one of your Falcon and Winter Soldier reviews, because I'm like, I don't want the video that's doing well to be the one that people are yelling at you about.
It's so true. It's so true, and I'm grateful for that. Okay, let's get to some questions. First name, last name says, have you addressed how short this video was yet? Because I'm so proud of you.
How short it was?
Yes, this is like one of your shortest videos ever, Patrick.
Yeah, 30 minutes long.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, as I had mentioned to you, David, on the last I thought this one was gonna be under 30 minutes, and it just made it over. But that was also because the narrative stuff was like extra long. We had like a lot of stuff to do in there. But the script, I will say, editing the essay stuff, it was the fastest it's ever gone. Like we actually like got that stuff done pretty quickly, and it was so nice. Like I when I got the edited essay back from Ryan, I was like, oh my god, look at this. He knocked this out in a couple days. I don't have to do that much work on it. It's so much faster than it usually is. So that was nice. And you know what? As people have pointed out to me, yes, there is stuff I could have included and talked about in the video. And yeah, it could have been 45 minutes long, but I don't think it needed to be.
Josh Waldcare in the chat says, what are some other movies that you saw as a kid that you feel influenced you similarly to Batman the movie?
Another one that I actually just rewatched like a couple of weeks ago that was made just, I think, 3 or 4 years before Batman the movie, is the original Pink Panther, the Blake Edwards movie with Peter Sellers and David Niven. I mean, the whole Peter Sellers Pink Panther series was like a big thing for me when I was a kid. My parents introduced me to them, and my family, we'd watch all of them. But I realized the first movie in particular, which isn't even like the best one, it's like just like so much of the tone and style of it, and just like the Henry Mancini score, just kind of like I guess sort of like and all like that sort of like just like created like it introduced me to a vibe that I just really like. That is definitely the root of my obsession with heist movies. And also that's the movie that, gave me the lifelong dream, which I still has not come true, of I just want to go on a ski vacation in Europe and hang out at the ski lodge where everyone wears turtlenecks. This is just this is like my lifelong dream, and it all comes back to the Pink Panther. So there you go.
All right. Siddhant Atlaka asks the question, what's your first memory of Batman, i.e. what story in what medium? What was your first Batman? For me, it would have been the TV show. That was kind of my first exposure.
Wait,
then... Yep,
is it the 60s show?
Yeah, correct. And then it would have been the Tim Burton, like the most vivid one though was the Tim Burton Batman, right? That was kind of really, I remember vaguely watching the TV show, and I remember very vividly watching the Tim Burton Batman. I must have watched that movie like 10 times when I was a kid. Like in theaters,
Yeah.
like on TV. You know, it was running a lot on TV. Like it was a big deal for me.
I mean, that movie was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
The funny thing, like part of why I wanted to cover the '60s Batman movie, and by the way, to answer Siddhant's question, friend of the show, I really think it's this movie. The actual the longer story. So the thing that I say at the end of this video, even though I'm like, playing like a character in this, where telling my parents that they caused all of this because they showed me this movie when I was 4 years old and it led to everything, that's actually true. Like, I guess, to sound grandiose, my origin story is it's this simple. The year is 1992. I am like 4 years old. I want to watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. And my parents, as they revealed to me years later, they think it looks annoying and they don't really want to deal with it. So they tell me instead that it's too violent and I'm not allowed to watch it. And then instead, they show me the '60s Batman movie, which they remembered watching like, decades earlier, and are just like, that's like a fun thing. Like, let's show them that instead. And my parents did not pay a lot of attention to pop culture and were not aware that in the year 1992, Batman Returns was released and Batman the Animated Series premiered on TV. So there was just an explosion of Batman in pop culture. So basically, I saw this movie, became obsessed with it, just watched it over and over and over again. And then suddenly I was obsessed with Batman, and there was Batman everywhere and so many Batman toys that I wanted. And so this just became my life. And then that led to an obsession with comic books and then movies and just everything from there. It all comes back to this movie.
Wow.
And yeah, and I can even I don't have the exact issue numbers on hand, but I know like what the first Batman comics I bought or maybe I was given after watching this movie were. Like I can point to like it's like the Todd McFarlane cover. It was like a late '80s issue that somehow I ended up with. Anyway, but it's this movie is basically like why I turned out like this.
Paul Hamilton in the chat says Patrick's parents are the authors of all his pain, which I think is really very astute.
Damn it. It all comes back to Spectre. We can't escape Spectre.
Okay, let's do like one or two more questions. Heisenberg Bad says, this is the second video on a Batman movie where you praise the goofiness of it. Do you dislike the gritty aspect of Batman in other movies, or do you just prefer this lighter take on him?
It's not even that I prefer it. I love The Dark Knight. There are like I read so many Batman comics. I have basically been reading Batman comics like monthly, like current issues, since June 1999. And there have been a lot of dark and gritty and bleak Batman stories in that time. It's just that those are the ones that seem to get a lot of attention and like that most of the discussion revolves around. Like there have been 8 trillion video essays about the Nolan Batman movies. I don't need to contribute to that. Like, it's not that I prefer the lighter ones. It's that I think there are so many valid versions of Batman. Like, I don't think there's pretty much no character in modern media that can exist that like is like as malleable as Batman, that you can do so many radically different takes with and they're all valid. And so I'm really just here being like, I kind of like all of them. And I think we should also like, give some real like, like time and critical analysis to the ones that, are like less cool or like out of step with like what's in style right now. That's all it is.
Well said, Patrick. Well said. There's room. The Batman tent is a big one, and there's room for all kinds of Batmen in it.
Exactly.
Shall we say?
And for instance, I see there's a comment right here saying thoughts on Morrison's Batman run. The thing is, Grant Morrison's Batman run is one that I really love, and Grant Morrison's main idea, main theme in their Batman run, which I talk about a bit in the Schumacher Batman video, is basically that like every version of Batman exists and like alongside one another. Like they're all canon, all the silly stuff. Like there is a Batman for everyone, and Batman can be all of these things. And so yeah, I just like that idea.
All right, final question here, which is from Jacko Taco, who asks, Patrick, who would you pick to direct and write a Batman movie? Now, there are a lot of Batman movies in the pipeline already, right? I would actually say Matt Reeves is an awesome choice. Like he's
honestly,
yeah. I mean, he's making the next one, right? But if is there someone where you feel like you would want them to do it?
I mean, the thing is, like, I'm kind of gonna say Matt Reeves because I think this is a great choice. But here's the thing, David.
Mm-hmm. What's the thing?
I want to see everyone's Batman movie. That is the thing. I want to see the Safdie brothers Batman movie, and I want to see Greta Gerwig's Batman movie. You know, I want because Batman can exist in so like it's one of those things where like I genuinely believe that there is like kind of a right way to do Superman, or like an approach where Superman works best. Batman, on the other hand, I think you can do so many more things with. And I would like here's what we should do. Stop making Batman sequels. Just have just no more continuity. Just every director has a turn and just makes a wildly different Batman movie. Just whatever they want to do.
All right. I'm not opposed to that, but like let's name some names, Patrick. All right, name some names here. People in the chat are saying Ryan Johnson, Edgar Wright. You know, yeah, okay. I dig all those. Michael Bay, Wachowskis, Michael Mann.
Well, okay. Actually, honestly, if we're talking like pie in the sky dream choices, I want 1980s Michael Mann, like a Manhunter era, to make a Batman movie. That is my guy. You know, when in the time when Michael Mann was like really into like neon and stuff like that, and like maybe he puts a Tangerine Dream score in there, that's what I'd like to see.
We've talked about some of the Batman movies that like never happened. I think I think Darren Aronofsky was supposed to make a Batman movie at one time. Is that right? Am I?
Yeah, right? No. Darren Aronofsky, I believe, and Frank Miller co-wrote the script. It was like pretty close to happening, like before Nolan came on.
Batman Year One, I think, is what that was supposed to be. That's for me. That's the one that got away. You know, that's the one I'm like, huge fan of Darren Aronofsky. Really wish we'd had the world had a chance to see what his version of Batman would be, because it would have freaking blown your minds. I guarantee it.
Yeah. The weird thing about that one was it apparently was going to be like kind of low budget compared to Batman movies, like under $100 million.
It was going to be the Todd Phillips Joker of Batman.
The thing is, I believe part of the premise of that script was that Bruce Wayne like loses all his money and Alfred is like a mechanic and they work out of a garage.
Incredible. Doesn't that sound incredible? Like, I'm just like, that sounds so, I would so watch that literally as soon as possible. So
exactly. Paul Hamilton in the chat threw out 1980s Walter Hill. I mean, like, you know, in the era when he was going to do Dick Tracy as well. What if coming off of Streets of Fire, Walter Hill had done Batman? Would have ruled.
Indeed. All right. I think we can wrap it up there. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. This has been a blast as usual. Patrick, great job on the video, and best of luck. It looks like you're back in the big city. So
I was only upstate for like a few days. It was like, you know, we shot the video all out of order. It was funny. We shot my parents' stuff like a few weeks ago, and then I went back up and shot all of my lines to them. Look, but I was speaking to no one in the room.
Wow. That's what's called movie magic, Patrick. Movie magic.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm David Chen. Find my stuff at youtube.com/DaveChensky. That's Dave Chen, SKY. You can also find me on Twitter as well there. And of course, you all know Patrick H. Willems and where you can find him. Patrick, take us out, won't you?
Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching the new video. It's like everyone's enthusiasm for the weird stuff that we've been getting into, especially this year, has been really gratifying, and it's really meant a lot. Everyone keep staying safe. Hope you're all getting that sweet vax shot, and we'll see you back here for the next one. Bye.
Bye.